Whether you're questioning old beliefs or left them behind long ago, do you still feel their influence in your daily thoughts and choices? It's common to carry the weight of past teachings, even when you think you've moved on. If you're feeling stuck between where you were and where you want to be, it might be time to let go and start moving forward. In this video, we'll explore how to identify and overcome the lingering effects of religious programming, whether you're actively deconstructing or have been away from Christianity for years. We'll recontextualize familiar concepts like Jesus and Lazarus and integrate ancient wisdom to help you uncover deeper truths. By the end, you'll have practical tools to break free from old patterns, empowering you to reclaim your spiritual path with clarity and confidence. Ready to take control of your journey? Let's dive in. One of the most difficult aspects of deconstructing Christianity, or any deeply ingrained belief system, is understanding the complexity of the process. There are multiple layers that most people don't often grasp, and the challenge lies in adopting an entirely new way of perceiving and thinking about the world. But before the shift in thinking can even begin, the first hurdle is overcoming fear. Section 1. Overcoming fear. Fear is often the initial barrier in deconstructing religious dogma. If you have a belief in demons or wondering if they might be right, then you may not feel safe, and the fear kicks in. For many, this fear is rooted in the mental wiring that has been shaped by years of conditioning. The fear of exploring new ideas can feel like betraying long-held beliefs, which can create internal resistance. The key to moving past this is obtaining knowledge that helps you logically understand why this fear exists, while also tapping into your deeper intuition, your soul-level wisdom. Understanding and integrating new knowledge is essential to dispelling fear. But it's not just about absorbing information. The knowledge must resonate both logically and intuitively to allow you to break free from old patterns. Fear blocks progress when the emotional reaction to inner experiences is not addressed. One simple way to get the fear under control is to take 3 deep breaths while affirming that the universe is a safe place. I know it's easier said than done when you've been taught that the world is a bastion of evil and wickedness. Next, Section 2. Embracing new knowledge. After overcoming the initial fears, the next step is to open yourself up to new ideas that go beyond the boundaries of past beliefs. This could involve learning different ways of seeing the world, whether through philosophy, history, or other systems of thought. For example, if you're exploring something like Buddhism, you won't just be absorbing facts or ideas. You'll also be learning to approach life from a fresh perspective. And this can feel overwhelming at first. But this process isn't just about gaining information. It's about finding a balance between thinking things through and listening to your inner sense of what feels right. Simply understanding new ideas intellectually isn't enough. You also need to connect them on a deeper level, where it feels like the pieces are falling into place. So how do you know when this connection happens? It's that moment when something just clicks. You don't need to reason it out, because it simply feels true. It's similar to how a creative idea comes to you. You might get a flash of insight, like an entire thought or concept arriving at once. But even though the idea comes quickly, turning it into something real, a project, a piece of writing, or even a new outlook on life might take more time. The important part is recognizing that feeling of truth even before everything fully makes sense. Section 3. Recontextualizing familiar concepts. An important part of deconstructing religious beliefs is learning to recontextualize familiar concepts. For example, many of the foundational stories and figures in Christianity, such as Jesus, are built on older philosophical and symbolic constructs. These constructs often have roots in earlier traditions, like Kemetic or ancient Egyptian knowledge. In Christianity, we may not have thought about these ideas logically because they were presented as historical fact. However, when we return to their original symbolic meaning, as found in the ancient Kemetic wisdom, we begin to see the deeper truths they contain. This process of recontextualizing allows for a greater intuitive understanding when we're open to learning. For example, the miracle of Jesus raising Lazarus from the dead. Horus as the light of wisdom that brings Osiris back to life or awakens. Metaphorically, we can understand the idea of Lazarus being referred to as asleep or dead. Prior knowledge of those phrases as metaphors is not a leap of logic to comprehend their meaning. It's only the dogma of a literal event that one can decide to accept or reject. The symbolic meaning of the story makes more sense than a miracle one can logically choose to reject or accept as a framework. The symbolic and metaphorical framework makes more sense logically and intuitively, but you must have the esoteric knowledge as an alternative to the literal knowledge. I provide that for you here at KCL. Section 4. Intuitive understanding beyond logic. Tapping into symbolic knowledge opens the door to insights that go beyond intellectual reasoning. It's through this symbolic language that deeper truths are revealed. However, if fear remains the dominant reaction to these inner experiences, it will block the process of deeper understanding. This is why unlearning dogma and old knowledge is essential. Without this unlearning, the intuitive connection to spiritual knowledge is clouded. The reason I'm passionate about Kemetic knowledge is that it simultaneously helps you unlearn Christian dogma while offering expanded spiritual concepts that can be applied to other systems. Once these expanded concepts are integrated, you can begin to recognize similar truths in other belief systems. The idea of a Christ is simply awakening to your divine nature. Most spiritual systems have this same idea, and oftentimes the symbolic language is very similar. In Buddhism, a very similar concept is Bodhi. But if you have a literal understanding of Jesus Christ, you may find it difficult to grasp the similarities to Bodhi. The Christ and Bodhi precede Christianity by thousands of years. Christianity repackaged the concept, said it was a new revelation, and forbid any believer to explore if the claim was true or false, under the threat of being ostracized because of lacking faith, or worse, eternal damnation for doubting the company line, so to speak. Tapping into the ancient wisdom allows one to pierce the veil of ignorance. Understanding the difference between spirituality and religion. External versus internal locus of control. As you move forward in your spiritual reconstruction, one of the most profound shifts to recognize is the difference between religion and spirituality, particularly when it comes to where you place your sense of power and control. Many people, especially Christians, often struggle with the concept of following the will of God, which can lead to an inherent conflict within themselves. This conflict stems from believing that God's will is external and separate from their own inner truth. In religion, there is an emphasis on an external locus of control, the idea that your fate, your decisions, and even your morality are dictated by forces outside of you. You're told to follow God's will, as though it's something separate and apart from you. This belief can lead to feelings of powerlessness as you become reliant on external validation or guidance to know what's right for your life. Many Christians find themselves wrestling with this because they're conditioned to believe that their desires or instincts may not align with God's will, creating a deep internal conflict. For example, think about how often you're told to wait on God for answers or direction. This can instill the belief that you're not in control of your own path, and that you must constantly seek validation or guidance from an external source. This mindset forces an external locus of control, making it difficult to trust your own inner wisdom or make decisions based on your personal needs and desires. Spirituality, on the other hand, is about shifting to an internal locus of control. It's about recognizing that the power and guidance you seek are already within you. Rather than seeing God or the divine as something outside of yourself that you must follow, spirituality invites you to understand that the divine resides within you. Your desires, your instincts, and your intuition are all a part of your higher self, what you might call the will of God, but it's not separate from who you are. When you make this shift, you begin to trust your inner guidance system. You no longer feel torn between what you think God wants and what you want, because you realize they're one and the same when you're aligned with your true self. This internal locus of control allows you to reclaim your personal power and recognizing that you're co-creating your reality with the universe. This is where many find themselves conflicted. They've been taught that following God means rejecting their own desires, as though God's will is something completely different and potentially even opposite to what they want. But in a spiritual framework, the divine is your will expressed through you. When you tune into your own intuition, you're tuning into the higher guidance that connects you to the divine rather than something separate or external. This difference between religion and spirituality is transformative. In religion, you're dependent on external rules, doctrines, or leaders to tell you what's right. In spirituality, you take full responsibility for your life, recognizing that your inner knowing is your greatest guide. This internal shift is what frees you from the need for external validation and gives you the confidence to live authentically. By understanding the distinction between religion's external locus of control and spirituality's internal locus of control, you can begin to resolve the inner conflicts that have held you back. You can reclaim your power, recognizing that you have everything you need within you to navigate your spiritual path. This realization is a key step in deconstructing old beliefs and moving towards spiritual freedom and personal empowerment. The process of deconstructing religious dogma is intricate, requiring the overcoming of fear, the integration of new knowledge, and the development of intuitive understanding. It's not just about reading books or gaining intellectual knowledge. It's about opening yourself to insights that come from within and recontextualizing familiar concepts in a way that resonates deeply. There are few platforms that combine such a diverse range of knowledge to help you make sense of these complexities. We do that here at Kemetic Centered Living. What could your life look like if you let go of the beliefs holding you back? If you've left the church but still feel like it hasn't left you, if you're ready to break free from the negative programming that's held you back, I invite you to take the next step. Download my free guide to learn the exact techniques I use to rebuild my life from the inside out. This guide is designed for those who are truly ready to 1. Shed the guilt, fear, and shame of their religious past. 2. Reconnect with their true self and begin to live authentically. 3. Reclaim their inner power and stop relying on external validation. Now, this journey isn't for everyone. But if you're ready to break free and discover what's truly possible when you tap into your internal strength, this guide is for you. You can download it at www.kemetaphysicsguide.com. The link is in the video description. It's time to break free. Let's get started. Thank you for watching. If this video resonates with you, consider subscribing to join our growing community on this journey of rediscovery and enlightenment. Your support helps us to reach our goal of 100,000 subscribers. But more importantly, by sharing this video, you can spread these empowering insights to others who need them. Together, let's bring this ancient wisdom to light and inspire a positive shift in the world.